Feeling young whilst getting older. How can you feel and stay young although you're getting older? In this video, we are going to look at which habits to implement, how to implement them, and so that you can live a life which is healthy without having to discipline yourself. My name is Jonas, and as a sports scientist, I help entrepreneurs improve and optimize their health so that they can live healthier whilst getting older. So let's get started. To give you context, when we get older, let's say here we are born. Now, let's say this is the timeline of life, and here we die, right? So the way of and here we have our development. The way we develop is as follows. We are born, we develop our bodies, get stronger, get healthier, fitter, without having to do that much, because nature takes care of that in and of itself. And then once we hit about 25, 30, we basically hit our natural peak. And from there on, we maybe stagnate a bit, and then we start to decline until we die. Now, most people think, well, that's just how life is, right? Well, of course you're going to die, but what I mean by that is they think, all right, I'm getting older, I'm declining, I can't do something about it. But here comes the crucial part. If we know which habits to implement, how to implement them in the right way, which feels nearly effortless, we can increase this point and live healthier for longer. Now the question then becomes, all right, how do we do this? Well, this is actually pretty simple. It all comes down to your habits. As someone beautifully said, is that you don't rise to the level of your expectations, but you fall to the level of your systems. And this is such a good illustration of how life is, because if you have expectations or that vision of being healthy and you constantly have to discipline yourself, things feel hard, you miss a session, you don't know if you're making progress, well, guess what? You're not going to stick to it. But if you manage to create systems, to design a life, a keyword here is lifestyle design, then you can create a life which you can just live and improve your health and performance, and even keep your health and performance once you're at this stage here. So habits. Now the question then becomes, okay, what habits to implement in the first place? And then also, how do we implement those habits that they last? Because there's no use in having habits and knowing how to do those habits and implementing them in your life if it feels hard all the time, right? Okay, so those are the key points we're going to cover. Now, I want to talk about what habits to integrate into your life into the first place. So, for a practical longevity routine, what we want to have is strength training and endurance training. So, meaning that sort of training where we train our cardiovascular system in a good and positive way. The way we do that is by the following. So, strength training. How many times per week? 2 to 3 times per week. And then how many exercises per training? We want to have 4 to 6 exercises per training, favorably compound movements, and per movement, per exercise, we want to do 3 sets by 10 repetitions. Of course, there are many other ways you can do this, but this is just brought to you to the basics, or brought down to the basics. Now, running. Why do we want to run even? Well, of course, it gives you positive feelings, but running also takes care of our heart and our vessels, meaning where the bloodstream flows through our arteries, our veins. Why is that important? If we do not train our vessels, we damage them. And when we are older, once we are older and we did not take care of them enough, they're damaged forever and we cannot reverse their structure. So we want to integrate endurance training as early as possible. Better late than never. Because by doing so, we train the elasticity of our vessels and thus increasing their overall health and decreasing the risk of getting a heart attack, a thrombosis, or maybe having to do a bypass because your arteries aren't as healthy. So how do we do this? Here as well, we want to have 1 to 2 sessions per week. How should those sessions be? If you have 2 sessions, which would be ideal, we want to have 1 long run and 1 interval or 1 session where we do have a quicker time frame, shorter time frame in which we do the session, but we want to increase the intensity. And one of the best protocols, also science-based, is the Norwegian 4x4, which means you train intensively for 4 minutes, then rest and recover for 4 minutes, and you do this cycle 4 times. That way you have a quick endurance session with a high intensity and lots of positive benefits, decreasing your risk for heart attack and improving your overall cardiovascular health and fitness. This has so many positive benefits. Why? Because you will think more clearly, you will think more sharply, you will improve your cognition, you can think on your own, you will decrease the risk of getting dementia, and so on and so forth. Now, here, strength training. Why do we want to strength train? Because it gives us freedom. Now you might think to yourself, okay, how does strength training give me freedom? Well, this is actually pretty simple and practical. If we strength train, we increase our muscle mass. By increasing our muscle mass, we can carry our own weight, our own groceries, we can carry our own luggage when you go on an airplane. We can put the luggage up in the storage on ourselves, by ourselves, and thus we can live more on our own and independent of other people. Also, by having that freedom, we can still see friends, we can still go play tennis, we can still do the things we love to do. And that's why strength training and endurance, this combination, is so essential, and we want to keep that. Now, the other question, how should we implement those habits? This is also pretty simple. I've read a lot of studies about and also studied how you can change your behavior for good in the long term and how you can design your life to make it more effortlessly and healthier. And one of the most important impacts or the best ways to do this is through social support, meaning that you do things with other people together. I can tell you a story right here. I had a client which struggled to go to the gym, and we tried different things, and then I asked him, do you have other people with which you can go to the gym? And he was like, maybe I can ask my wife. And I was like, sure, ask her and we'll see how it goes. And after being on and off with his gym routine, he started to go with his wife, and from that point on, he went more consistently and had more joy. So there are many other techniques, but I'd invite you to leverage social support for your benefit, to make your habits stick for longer and ultimately make them a part of your life. So that's it. We covered why we want to start living more healthy, start designing our life in a healthy way. We covered how we can do this, then what habits to implement, which was strength training and endurance training, and also how to implement them via social support. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I wish you a lot of success by implementing those habits into your life so that you can get older and still feel young and enjoy a life full of happiness and joy. I wish you all the best by implementing this advice. I wish you lots of success and I hope to see you next time. Until then, take care and best wishes, Jonas.